Hi there, it's Becky Raisler. I have Becky's Journals on Instagram and on YouTube. And today I'm going to talk about the steps that I take when I'm making a brand new journal. This is a journal that I just finished recently, and it's a Reader's Digest book that I altered to make a journal. And when I talk about altering, there's different ways that you can alter a book. You can leave the book block in and then tear out pages and glue some of them together. Another way is this. I took the book block out, the original book block out, and reinforced the spine and then reused the cover. So this is how it looks when I've got it fully loaded and ready to go to its new home, or I keep them. And this is an example of a 2-signature journal that I made, and this is a really good size to work in. I really like working in the Reader's Digest books. This one I was able to save the original leather spine, and that's unusual because this book is originally from 1957, and usually when you find these, the leather spines are cracked right through here, and sometimes this way too, because there's little indentations. And if they're used at all or put in an area where it's not climate controlled, well, they'll crack. And so this one is special because I was able to save the spine. It is going to be going to its new home with Carol sometime real soon, but I'm still loving on it. So Carol, you're just gonna have to wait a little bit longer because I'm not quite ready to part with it. But I want to show you, for people who are starting out, I've seen a lot of questions in the Facebook groups lately about where do I start, what I do. They're overwhelmed by all the possibilities, and the possibilities are endless. There's so many ways that you can make your own junk journals. I mean, you can start off using spiral notebooks and making spiral notebooks when you're first starting, and just decorating spiral notebooks and writing in them. And that's how I started, and I did that for years before I discovered making your own. So there's nothing wrong with that, and don't overthink it. There's a learning curve. There's some things that you'll want to learn eventually, like how to make your own book covers. And that is the first step that now these are my steps. They're not everybody's steps. These are my steps. You're welcome to use them to give yourself an organized approach to making the junk journals. These are the steps that I always take because this is the easiest way for me. Now, you may find another way that's easier, but this is my organized approach. And after doing it for a number of years, I realized that this was what the steps that I was taking that I was most comfortable with. But the first thing you're going to need is you're going to need some kind of book cover. Now, you can make a book cover out of packaging material cardboard, and there's lots of YouTube videos about how to make your own book covers with kitchen packaging. Cereal boxes are my favorite. So, and you have lots of them around the house, especially if you've got kids. So I often use cereal boxes to make journals. And I do have videos on how I make book covers with cereal boxes. But this is an altered book. It was a Reader's Digest book, just like this one. But this one is from the 70s. And I know this because I had the original book block in it. And what I have done is I have taken out the book block from the inside, and I've reinforced the spine, or in this case, I've added a new spine, and then just was able to finish it off and reuse this as my book cover. And so once you've got your book cover figured out, you're going to want to decide how you're going to make your closure. And that is how you, once it's completely stuffed full of all your goodies, your closure is how you're going to want to tie it together. And this one, I put 2 eyelets in the back, holes in the back with eyelets, and ran the ribbon around the back and tied it closed. And that way your ribbon is your closure and the ribbon stays with the book. Some people use elastic. Some people put a button here and then tie elastic around and close it that way. There's lots of ways to make your closure, but you need to decide right up front how your closure is going to be, because once you've got all your signatures and papers in there sewn in, it's really hard to work to add eyelets and figure out your closure. So you do it first. You figure out your closure. And also another thing is, you may have seen these journals that have tassels on them, and tassels are great. I don't have one of my journals handy with a tassel on it, but and this one I'm not going to put a tassel on it, but I put tassels on my larger journals, and on my journals that I make out of little golden books, I always put tassels on them because they're just more playful. Tassels are very playful, but these like this are I'm trying to emphasize the beauty of this original 1970s cover, and so I'm not going to put a tassel, but if I was, I would go ahead and make myself the attachment up here for the tassel. I would do an eyelet up there so I can clip a tassel in there through an eyelet hole. And there's things that you need to think out in advance. So once you've got your book cover made, and your closures and your tassel situation figured out, and this one I'm going to tie a ribbon through here and either wrap it around all the way around the outside and then run the ribbon through here to tie it closed on the side, which I've done a lot, or I'll just run the double ribbon through each one of these and tie it that way. So I'm going to leave the tie until the very end, because I don't want my ribbon to get dirty while I'm working on the journal. And so, but the second thing you're going to do is you're going to make your pages and your signatures. And a signature, for those of you who've not done this before, a signature is a grouping of pages, full-size pages that have been gathered together, stacked together, and folded in half, and to make a signature. There's you're going to make your signatures depending on the size of the journal, because you want it to fit in there. And that's why you want to have your journal cover done first, because you want your signature pages to fit inside of your book. So in this case, or in all cases, I always make the width and the length of my signature or journal pages about 1/2 inch shorter and more narrow, both. I want it to be, my pages to be about 1/2 inch this way and 1/2 inch this way, shorter. So they'll fit in there, and I can add lace and trim and fold outs and flip ups and things, and so it won't stick out way out outside the journal cover. Some people make art journals as opposed to writing journals. This one is going to be kind of a hybrid, and that's what this one is. It's going to be a hybrid where you can make art in it and collages and paint in it, or whatever you want to do, or you can write in it, either way. So my journals, I always leave room for writing, but my favorite thing to do is to decorate. So when making your pages, the number of pages that you put in each signature and the number, and this is the signature, your pages all grouped together, and the number of signatures is going to depend on how wide your spine is. So the number of pages and the number of signatures depend on how wide your spine is. And that's important because you'll end up with a book that can't close if you put too much in there. So like this one has, I think it's 10 full pages unfolded in the signature, and that's usually my limit to the number of pages I put in each signature, because I like to put a lot of bulky things in my journals. If you're just using your journal for writing and you don't put a lot of extra collage and bulky things in your journals, then you can use 20 pages per signature. But for me, 10 is about the most, and some of them I put less than that. This one, because it has an 1.5 inch spine, I like to leave at least 3/4 of an inch on my spine per signature. 1 inch is better for me. That way I can really cram a lot of pockets and a lot of stuff in there. But this one is an 1.5 inch for 2 signatures, and that's about right for me. And that, because as you can see, you know, it fills it up. Now I could have put fewer pages and added 3 signatures in this one, and a lot of people do that. But I want to make it easiest for me, and sewing in the signatures is not the easiest thing for me to do because I have arthritis in my hands pretty bad, and so I want to make it as easy as possible. But I do 2 signatures with about 9 or 10 pages for an 1.5 inch spine. Okay. Once you've got your pages all together and you've got your signatures together, you're going to sew in your signatures. That's the next step. I use a 3-hole pamphlet stitch on this size of journal. You know, commonly that's what I've done here, and you probably can't see it because it's black thread, but the 3-hole pamphlet stitch that's basically 3 holes that you make per signature. Is going to have 3 holes, and then you sew it in with the 3-hole pamphlet stitch. So the first, and that's the first stitch that most people learn. It is definitely the easiest, and I've learned how to do the 5-hole pamphlet stitch, but it is, and if I have much larger books, I will use a 5-hole pamphlet stitch because it's sturdier. But since these pages are only like 5 1/4 by 7 3/4 tall, so the 3-hole pamphlet stitch is fine. A lot of people not a lot of people, but some people really get into bookbinding, and they learned there's all kinds of decorative stitches, binding stitches that you can learn. And I believe it's Treasure Books on YouTube, Natasha at Treasure Books on YouTube, she shows you how to do different binding stitches. She's an excellent teacher, so I recommend her. Natasha at Treasure Books. She also has a new book out called Treasure Books or Treasure Bookmaking, but where she explains a lot of the way she does things. But I'm not going to go into the binding on this, but I'm just showing you the steps. So first you make or alter a book cover, then you make your pages and your signatures to size, then you sew in your signatures. And I recently did a video about making a template for poking the holes in your spine and in your signatures. So you can sew them in and they'll be even, and you can look for the whole template, that video that I recently put out. Also, last year or the year before, I did a video on putting together your signatures and tips for sewing in your signatures, how to keep them so you don't sew them in upside down, because it can be quite fiddly, especially if you have more than one signature to sew in. It can be quite fiddly to get in all your signatures in the right order, and you'll notice that mine are labeled, and I always label the top because you want to sew everything in the same way that so they'll so all of them will be lined up, and your holes, you know, won't be all wonky, and you'll end up with loose bindings, and it'll come apart and it'll make you unhappy, and you don't want that. A while back, I was mass making pages because I have a number of these Reader's Digest books to do, and I was mass making pages to fit these books. They're all the same size. I did a video on the types of papers that I use for mass making book pages, the types of papers I use in my book pages, in my signatures in my books. I also, there's just 20 types of papers that I use to make my signatures or pages in my books. And you can refer to that and copy out the list if it helps you. But this is just my methods on that. I've got some more Reader's Digest book covers coming that I'm going to be making in the future. So I've got these that I can wait for the next journal. I always make more than I'll actually use. Once I've got the signatures sewn in, and this one you can see the 3-hole pamphlet stitch with I used white thread. Normally I use I didn't have a dark green thread. And this is waxed thread, and wax thread is the easiest to use and holds up the best for book binding. But you can use lots of things. I use embroidery thread sometimes because I have a lot of it on hand. It's cheap, and I happen to have a lot of it. So you can use embroidery thread. You can use lots of different types of threads, and twine, all kind of stuff. It just, wax thread is the easiest for me to use because it goes into the needle hole. It doesn't catch and fray, you know, when you're putting it in there. And like I said, I'm all about the easiest way I can do it. So here it is. Well, here's what it looks like when I got the 2 signatures first sewn in. And I've got all my pages the background is finished. There's no white. I don't leave any white. So the only thing that I have done to this is a brand new journal. And the only thing that I have done is add a couple of flip ups in each signature. Now you know, some people have shorter pages and longer pages and all different size pages. Because of my trouble with my hands, it's easier for me to work with pages that are all the same size. So if I go back in and add flip ups and flip outs and envelopes and that fold out and things like that after I've sewn in my signatures that are simple and all the same size. And it's just easier for me. And when you're first starting out, it's probably going to be easier for you too to get the hang of it. And after you have done, I would use just one signature of 3 or 4 pages to practice the 3-hole pamphlet stitch. And I would try that 3 or 4 times before you try to sew a signature into a journal. It helps to practice. And you know, I wouldn't use your best stuff and something you want to keep forever when you're first starting out. It's, you know, use something you don't mind messing up, and I mean, notebook paper, anything, just whatever you happen to have, practice on it, on doing simple ones. And in this case, and in all cases, I should say that I always use cardstock as the cover of my signatures. and it makes it easier when you're sewing the signatures in. The pages don't tear. When you go to tie it, it's sturdier, and the cardstock holds it in and holds it together better when you're tying it off. So that's just a tip there. Cardstock on the outside page of each signature is helpful, and having them all the same size is helpful when you're first starting out. The only thing, this is what it looks like, it's just sewn in. There's some space in there. It's laying flat. And then the next thing I do is I start adding my interactive elements to it. Now, interactive elements can be all kinds of things. The flip-ups and fold-outs are an interactive element. Pockets are an interactive element. Tuck spots. But this is just my way, is once I've got it all ready to go, I start adding the interactive elements. And I want my interactive elements, then this is my, OCD or whatever, I want them spread out throughout the journal evenly. So I'll do, like, I've done so far, I've done two flip-ups or flip-outs in each signature, for instance. And then I might add 2 pockets in each signature. I do a lot of make-ahead ephemera and pockets and interactive elements. Other interactive elements might be hidden paper clips that I have made up already, pre-made. You can make pockets pre-made, corner pockets or regular pockets or any kind of, you can make pockets pre-made. You can make text spots, flip-ups, flip-outs, hidden paper clips, little booklets. There's any number of things that you can have on hand to fill your journals with. Once I have usually the flip up and flip outs in the Reader's Digest journals, I am looking for things that I can take from the original book and use any illustrations, cover pages from the Reader's Digest book. This is just the way I like to do it. And then I'll use some of those, like this is from the original book that I just used as a flip up. And this is a page that was one of the back pages from the original book that I used as a flip out or fold out. And here's another one that came from the original book. So I use as much from the original books as I can. So a lot of these old books, though, the paper is already deteriorated so much, it depends on how it's stored. And also old books get dust mites and paper mites. And it makes the paper, that's what makes the paper turn brown and crack and break apart. And this is all natural. Books aren't made to last forever. They are. They are going to deteriorate over time. Most of the paper that books are made with is not acid-free, and even if it was acid-free, it still wouldn't last forever. It's eventually going to deteriorate. So enjoy it while you have it. If you put your journal together like this, and the signatures are wobbly, you can move them and wobble, or the thread is looser than that. You're probably going to have to take it out and sew it back in until you get it right. So don't start decorating a journal that the signatures aren't firmly sewed in correctly. You'll be sorry, sad, and I have to tell you that I have taken out and re-sewn in many signatures. It's not a perfect art, and there's things that can go wrong, and So you just need to make sure that when you get it sewn in there that it's not wobbly or overly loose in there, and that they're all pointing up the right way to the top. Believe me, I've sewn in seniors upside down lots of times. Okay, and so interactive elements I add. The next thing I do is I go through, once I've got all my pockets and my flip ups and pockets and flip ups and flip outs in there, I go in there and add texture. And I like to add lace along the edges of select pages to get me started. I don't have one that's just at that stage right now, but once I've got all my pockets and my flip ups and flip outs in there, I'll go in there and start adding some lace to the edges and some texture, and I'll start filling all those pockets up and with ephemera, either pre-made ephemera or just some plain paper that I can use that I will turn into something later on. Like this right here is just some paper tucked in there, and then I'll go back and here's some decorative paper that tucked in there, and I'll make journaling cards out of these. So, you know, I didn't have any pre-made ephemera that matched the color scheme that I wanted to work in, so I just went ahead and grabbed some papers that went with it and tucked them in there. And some of this stuff, I mean, all of it is made with whatever I happen to have on hand. I don't go out and buy anything for a specific journal. And a note on themes, you don't have to have a theme. The only thing that my journals ever have is I like to color coordinate. So if that's a theme, color coordination is a theme, well, okay, that's what I do. But you don't have to have a theme. You can if you want, but it limits what you can put into it. And it limits your decorations. And I just like to play, and I encourage you to play and have fun with this, because to me, that's what it's all about, is do it for the enjoyment. You're never going to get rich making journals, believe me. And even if you do sell some of them, you're not going to make a living out of it. You're never going to be paid for your time, because this is a work of the heart. You do it because you love to do it. You enjoy the creativity aspect of it. And it's just fun, you know. And you can make things for other people as gifts, or you can try selling some of them, but don't do it just for other people. Do it for yourself. Do it because this is what you like to do, and make them how you like them to look. Don't make them just because you're copying somebody else's style. You make enough of them, you're going to develop your own style, and that's how my journals end up looking like they are today. You perfect your techniques of creating the journal covers, and you learn as you go, and as you go you'll develop your own style and taste, and as you do it over the years, if you continue to do it over the years, your taste is going to change, and something that you made 10 years ago or even 2 years ago may be just way different than what you're making today, because the things that you have on hand, your opportunities to pick up things or save things, your creativity, your technical skills are developed. And it's just a matter of doing it and learning as you go. And I have to tell you that I've been doing this journaling, not making junk journals, but journaling since the 60s, for 1960s. And I didn't start making my own books until about, I guess, 5 years ago. But I've been doing paper crafts my whole life. I mean, there's all kinds of things like making envelopes and making all the different journaling cards and journaling tags. And there's so many different things to learn. You'll never run out of things to do and things to learn how to do. And I learn something new every day that I sit down and I play with my materials that I have. And that's what I encourage you to do too, is to play with it. Once I've got the lace and added all to the pages that I want, this is just to inspire me. This is not to complete the decoration. It's just to inspire me. Like this one, I'll come in and I'll add more things to this, probably a collage at the top and around the corner, like an L-shaped collage there. But, it's just this piece of lace right here is just to inspire me to do something else to add to it. These blank pages, like this one, it needs something to get me going to do something else to it, like this one. It just needs something to give me my creativity a spark. And so I try to go in and add some little something to almost every page that'll start me off, that'll get me going. And you can add all kind of stuff to these journals, little dangles, and you can add tabs. Like this is an example of a piece of fabric folded over to make a tab. And I will keep adding to this. I won't leave it like that. I'll keep adding stuff to it. And maybe adding some more tabs. Here's another tab that I put in there. It's just one of the interactive elements that you can start off with. Okay, I've got my lace on the edges right there, and that'll help me out to go. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to decorate the inside front cover. Now, I've got this started. I've got my lace that I had put on there, and I got this started, and I've got my pocket made, and I've got some papers stuffed in the pocket to work with. So when I get ready to work on this front cover, I've got myself something to inspire me to get working on, and I don't have to think, now what do I want to put in this pocket? I've already got things in there, and I can just sit down and spend whatever amount of time I have that day, 15 minutes, an hour, whatever I happen to have. I can just concentrate on playing with this one spread right here. And that's what, for you who are just starting, 2 pages that are adjacent to each other, that's a spread. And so I work in coordinated spreads. I don't leave each page. I want the page that is right next to it to be coordinated with it, so you can look at it as a whole. Like this one is color coordinated, and so whatever I do on this page will be the same color combinations and the same subject matter and what have you as the page right next to it. So that's a spread. Okay, so you started decorating, and then when I decorate, I don't start at page 1 and then do page 2, do page 3. I usually do the front covers, inside front covers, and then sometimes I will decorate the journal signature covers on the inside, and then I'll do the back. And like I say, this one has not been decorated yet. But that's the way I do it. And it gets me started, and it gives the personality for the whole journal. So it's coordinated. It's not, doesn't have to be matchy unless you just want it to be. Say if you decided to use a journal kit to make your journal, it's going to be pretty matchy because you're using a themed kit that you printed out, and so a lot of the pages are going to look alike. And that's okay if that's what you want to do. In my case, I don't have a decent printer, so I don't use printouts. I don't use the digitals to print out. But if you do, it's going to be fairly coordinated right up at the beginning. So, you know, if you want to try some digitals and you've got a decent printer that will print them out, it may be a good way to start. And if you're short on time, it might be helpful to you. But in my case, I have been doing this a long time, so I don't have any digitals. There's some great ones out there, and I would use digitals if I had a decent printer. But okay, this is pretty much once I've got the inside front cover and the adjacent page, the next thing I do is start working on decorating the remaining pages. I like to have a focal point on each page, and I don't have a journal right handy that I can show you, but I like to have a focal point on each page, or some element of inspiration on each page. The order that you work on in your journal doesn't matter. I jump around. If you're working with planners or a diary where you want to keep your dates in order, that's a different thing. But for me, I'm decorating. I jump around and don't worry about the order that I work in it at all. And that's fine. It's just whatever your mood is today. Maybe I don't want to work in brown today. Maybe I, have decided that brown's not my day. Maybe I want to work in green, or maybe I'm in a botanical mood. It's just a matter of whatever, catches my eye for the day. And that way, I go through the whole journal. Once I've got all the pages done on the inside, the next thing I'm going to do is finish decorating my journal cover. And I save this for the last because when you're working in it, you're rubbing it around on a dirty table quite a bit. And so I usually save any extra embellishments that I'm going to put on my journal cover to the last, just like I save any ribbon closures that I'm going to put in there for the last. And that is just simply so they'll be out of, it'll be out of the way, and it won't risk being damaged as I'm working on the rest of the pages. So I'll finish decorating the cover and add in the closure, and then my journal will be finished like this one is all packed full and ready to go. There is one more step that you want to take, and I encourage you, no matter how experienced you are, to do this, because it really is helpful. Take photos or videos or both of the work that you do, and you can share your photos and videos online in Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest or whatever you like, if you like. But even if you don't share your photos and videos online, save your photos and videos of the things that you have made, because you will be so surprised several years. It's nice to document your progress and what you've learned to do and what you've learned that you like and don't like. And it's fun to see it, to look back on it several years back and see, even if you work on a regular basis in it, you're gonna really progress quickly, and your technical skills will develop, and your eye for decorating will develop over time and change over time. So I encourage you to take photos. So make your book cover, make your pages and your signatures, sew in your signatures, add your interactive elements, add your lace and texture if you want to. decorate the inside front cover and the adjacent page. Decorate all your remaining pages. Finish decorating the cover and add the closure. And then take photos. Thank you so much. I will be posting this list if you find it helpful. I'll be posting it in my Facebook so you can get a copy of it. My Facebook is Rebecca Roesler, Roesler. And I will also be posting it in Instagram at Becky's Journals if you'd want to pick up a copy of it there. Or you can try to get a copy from the video. But thanks so much for watching. Be sure and subscribe to my channel if you find this video helpful and you'd like to see more. And leave a comment. I like to hear from you and know what you'd like me to show you next. Bye-bye.